All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Close and Conquer. There are two firsts. There's actually probably more than two firsts. Number one, it's the first time we've done a podcast from an FBO, which I didn't know was a fixed base operator. I never know what that stood for when you fly private.
Yeah,
Number two, Savannah is a massive guest. I had Savannah Chrisley. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
Look at that. And
Good thing is, I don't know how to say your last name either, so
you don't give it a shot.
I no idea.
Just try. Meaike. Give it a shot. Try. What's worst thing gonna happen?
Meek?
That wasn't so bad, actually.
No.
It's Mike.
Mike? Okay.
All those vowels are just Mike.
Okay.
But if you had gotten it right, you'd been the first one ever.
Okay. Well, shit.
Well, I'm sure it'll be the only thing you don't get right today. Well, we were talking a lot just about...
Wait, no. You gave her two first.
I'm sorry. First female we've had in the podcast. Now that's not good. We should have had a lot. We're now, Andrew, you're in charge of making sure that our schedule is much more. We got everybody locked and loaded. Everybody's welcome. We're excited. So I'm really excited to have you. I mean,
thank you.
I really have been watching, just kind of your journey, if you will, meaning like from afar, because there are certain things that interest me, certain things that don't, and and we were talking a little bit, and I really kind of wanted to start with you, like your life today compared to your life a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. A few years ago, oh, my God, I was living it up, like half naked on a beach. Like, I was in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably a total of 2 months out of the year. I was just doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, but also filming a show almost year-round. We did, I think, 30 episodes of our show, which was Chrisley Knows Best, and we did 10 seasons, and
10 seasons?
Yeah.
And how many episodes a season?
It became more as the seasons went on, but we filmed over like 250 episodes, I think.
250 episodes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there were spinoff shows, which were like 8 episodes. So I filmed probably a total of, 45 weeks out of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a lot at times. And now I have 2 awesome kids that I love to death, and they've taught me more than I've taught them, but it's definitely different.
How did y'all get in a reality? I always wondered this, because you're the first person. Now it's another first reality TV star we've had on, too.
See, I feel very special.
This is really special today. How did that happen? Like, how does that, I'm serious, like, there's a lot of people, but like, I knew the show. Like, I didn't watch a lot of reality TV.
Well, yeah, because your daughter loves me.
Savannah, her name's Savannah. She's like, I love that show. She was talking to her, we were coming on the podcast. She's like, oh my God, I love that show. And I was telling her, she said that. How did that happen? Like, how did your family, what was the origin of that?
So, a friend of my dad's was a producer on Oprah's network.
Okay.
And they were like, you need a show. Like, he was just bigger than life, super funny, but
which he is.
Hard-ass parent. Like, there was no, you never had to wonder, like, is he my friend or is he my parent? Like, there was no friend.
That was genuine.
Yes.
The stuff we saw and the way he was.
Some of it was. Some of, like, his personality, yes, but certain scenarios, stuff like that. I mean, it was more of a scripted comedy as it went on. Yep. So it really wasn't reality. But a friend of his was like, you guys need a show. You need it. And at that time, he was like, no. Like, older brother had a bunch of issues. And coming from the South, it's like, all right, you don't put all your dirty laundry out for everyone to see. Like, you could be saying F you 1 minute and walk out the door and put a smile on your face. Yeah. Like, that's just how it is. And then finally we filmed a sizzle reel. It was sent to 10 different networks. 9 out of 10 wanted it. The only one that didn't was A&E, because at that time they had Duck Dynasty. So it would have been
Duck Dynasty. That was going to screw you up. It was you or
Duck.
It was too close.
Duck Dynasty
was too close to you guys?
It was a family reality show, though, and they basically owned A&E at the time.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I don't know how big it is now.
Oh, it was, back then it was huge.
Yeah. And
so then Oprah ended up having the biggest offer, like money-wise, season-wise. Yeah.
Winfrey.
Yep.
Okay.
And we just didn't feel like we would have longevity there. And then USA, E, and Bravo all were fighting against each other for it. And the head of NBC stepped in and was like, we're fighting against ourselves. So it's going to air on USA and rerun on E and Bravo. It's the only show to have ever done that.
It aired, I'm sorry, where?
USA.
Yeah.
And then all the reruns were on E and Bravo.
So you guys went from not being involved in television or production at all. How long was the sizzle reel? A couple minutes?
Yeah.
Couple minutes sizzle reel?
Yeah, like 6 minutes
this
probably.
This guy helped send it out.
Yep.
9 or 10 are like, we're rabid about it, we love it. What did they love so much about it?
Just the fact that my it was this very well-to-do family, like very put together, but also my dad was a hard-ass parent. Like, he didn't care if you liked him or not. He was going to do what he felt was right. And at that time, we lived in Atlanta. Dad had the largest asset management company in the country, so government contracts, Fannie Mae.
Country.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all the things.
Okay.
Then, when glorious Obama came into office, that just completely screwed up his whole, screwed up everything.
Got it.
Because he believed in saving everyone. And then at that point, the show came along, and it was kind of the perfect segue into kind of a new life.
Got it. So when you're taping, it's in your home, a lot of
Yeah.
it, right? How many hours these people, and are they really like all over you all day long? Like, do you have any privacy in your own home?
You have to learn how to maneuver it. Like, you get really good at unplugging mics and like just escaping.
Yeah.
But it's I would say, for our schedule was like 10 to 7, 10 to 8 every day. Well, 5 days a week.
But in your home,
your life, but they also they only wanted so much of your life. Because you have to keep in mind, like, obviously, for people listening, both my parents are in federal prison right now. Pretty interesting life. But during that time, they were under investigation since 2012.
They were for that long?
And it took the federal government 7 years to issue a formal indictment. So.
What were they doing for 7 years?
Exactly.
But what were they doing? I mean,
they were just. Who? The government?
The government.
They were investigating. They were trying to build their story. They were trying to make their story make sense. And so, but we never got to discuss that. Like, the network didn't want us talking about it.
Why?
Because it wasn't funny. It wasn't this,
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I would pull for you, but I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Isn't that part of, like, movies? Like, there's a
Exactly.
hero, there's a villain, there's stuff that people go through.
Exactly. But they wanted it to be just more of this comedy.
Do you think that, and this is now just really interesting me, they started investigating your parents after y'all already had a show?
So my dad actually went to the federal government because his former CEO had embezzled millions of dollars from the company, and he had found out. And the way he had found out was at my grandfather's funeral. So his dad's funeral. The banker called and said, "Hey, is everything okay? Like, you just cleared out one of your accounts." And he was like, my mom was like, "I'm sorry, like, we're at the funeral home."
At the funeral?
Yeah. My mom's like, "We're at the funeral for the funeral home for Todd's dad's funeral. I don't know what you're talking about, but like, I need you to figure it out because we didn't do this."
Right.
And then all of it started unraveling. So he went to the government, but the government ended up giving the business partner full immunity because we were on TV, and it was a better story
That's
for
what I
them.
was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys weren't on TV,
It wouldn't be a thing.
your dad and mom wouldn't be in jail.
No, it wouldn't be a thing. They even came out. The FBI, IRS, everyone came out after trial, after guilty verdict came down, and they said if these reality TV people aren't above the law, then neither are you. So it just went to, like, and that's why it sucks. There were really great parts about being on TV. You met
100%.
really cool people. We had the opportunity to change so many different people's lives, whether it was monetarily or just by having a conversation, whatever it was. So for that, it was awesome, but it also opened us up to the federal government.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm curious your answer. People, as you run the show, you had a lot of fans, right?
I would have had more if I would have, like, pulled a Kardashian and was half naked. all the time, but
But
you know,
didn't
it's
do
okay.
that, so apologize to them, but
It's
life
okay.
is good. You had the fans you had.
Yeah.
You had a lot of haters too.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. But I always would think, like, that part I understood, but what was, because I've read a lot about, because I've been interested. Like I said, there's been, like, what do you think the government, so your dad goes, this guy talks to him, he gets full immunity.
Full immunity. And that has never, I mean, I have
He's
hired
full. He has no
full
nothing.
blanket immunity. Nothing.
They don't dispute that he embezzled money.
No, he gets on the stand and says, I forged their names to documents. I was in their emails. I had a laptop in the basement of their home recording all their phone conversations.
The guy had a laptop in your house recording your phone before this was happening?
Yeah.
Why was he doing that before?
Because he was embezzling all this
knew what he
money.
did.
So he knew he had to make sure all of his stories were straight. He admitted to stealing millions and millions and millions of dollars. At one point, it was $800,000 in 1 month. And he admitted to all of this at trial.
And who owned the company?
My dad.
Your dad
I don't know the full structure of it,
This
but
guy
it
didn't have
was
any equity in
mom,
it.
dad, and he had a little bit.
he did.
Like
Okay.
a very, very small portion. But he would embezzle money from the company and then go out and get these fraudulent loans to make the company look as if it was running and producing. Because at that point in time, dad was making $500,000 a month. So
Right.
he was like, as long as I'm getting my
Life
money,
is good.
like life's good. I built it to run a certain way, and now it's running that way. And yeah. So, and even people I've hired, I mean, a lawyer of mine now, his name's Brett Tolman, and he's the head of an organization called Right on Crime. And he was the prosecutor who prosecuted Elizabeth Smart's abductor.
Got it.
And he was a U.S. attorney, like attorney general, all these different things.
He's a badass.
And he's awesome. And he said, I have never seen this happen. I have never seen the government give someone blanket immunity for what they allege to be a $30 million fraud scheme. Like, you get some leniency,
Correct.
but you don't get full blanket immunity. He was like, it just does not happen.
Now, I'm assuming you, during the process, because of how you felt about what happened, you thought your parents would get acquitted.
Without,
right? I mean, like, without doubt, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever a day when you're going through it, you're like, they're going to be found guilty?
No.
Never?
No. Because, see, what a lot of people don't realize, and that's why it's a new show that I'm working on, is going to kind of go through the case, you know, step by step to show this is where it started, this is where it ended up. Because there was a magistrate judge who ruled that all of this evidence was not allowed in at trial because the government obtained it illegally. Okay. There were huge Fourth Amendment violations to where they went in, seized a warehouse, and said, this is where all of the evidence came from. And a magistrate judge said, no, it's not happening. Like, you obtained this illegally. If you wanted a clean trial, then you should have acted accordingly. So we're not allowing it in. And then come trial, the trial judge allowed all of the evidence in.
Even though the previous judge said it was out?
Yep, because that's just a magistrate judge. The federal judge has the final say.
Now, how long was the trial? The actual trial?
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And were they trying to get them, obviously they weren't going to take a deal. Were they even offering them a deal?
They did. They offered them a deal 2 days into trial, I think. And it was 15 years for dad.
15?
15 years for dad and 5 for mom. So she actually made out worse going to trial. He made out better.
What did she get? How many years did she get?
7.
What did your dad get?
12.
And how many years into it are they?
15 months.
Really?
Yeah.
It's on appeal, obviously.
It's on appeal. We got granted oral arguments on appeal. So only 6% of cases get granted oral arguments. And our argument is, it's a giglio violation, which is prosecutors have had such misconduct that it could have changed the outcome of the trial. They knew the IRS agent was going to testify false. Like, they knew her testimony would be false. And we have emails to prove that now. And she got on the stand and was like, all this money is owed. And there was no money owed at the time of trial.
No money owed the government.
No money owed. And she got on the stand and said, as I sit here today, there's money owed. There simply was not. There was $500,000 sitting in an account at the IRS that they just never credited to their socials.
And on top of it, who's the victim? Because it's
So
your
they
dad
like
and
to
mom's
allege.
company,
Yeah.
and whoever stole from it, they were stealing from their own company.
But so they say the victims are banks and for these bank loans. But you have to keep in mind he filed for bankruptcy. So he went through a bankruptcy court. It was almost a 2-year bankruptcy, I think, and he was discharged from it. And there was no allegations of bankruptcy fraud. There was nothing of that nature. And when you go through bankruptcy court, it's a fine-tooth comb. Like they look at every little thing. And so right now, what's interesting too is what people don't realize is like the circuits are split. So half of the circuits believe that you should go off of intended loss versus actual loss.
Got it.
So if you get a loan for $5 million, you only use $1 million of that. You should only be responsible for the $1 million.
You didn't take the rest of it.
But that's not how it works. You're responsible for the full 5, even though you didn't take it.
That's some interesting math.
And so that's how they calculated all this loss amount. And but they needed a certain number of victims. So there were 10 victims. They needed that to get a substantial raise in time based off of sentencing guidelines.
The 10 victims were 10 banks.
Yes.
That said, here's how we are harmed.
Yep. But even bankers, one of the government's witnesses,
They don't always send
got
money,
on
they didn't hurt us.
well, he got on the stand and he said, back in 2008, when the world was on fire,
Yeah, I lived through it.
everyone threw their loans back at us and just said, good luck.
Yep.
And the banker said, but during that time, Mr. Chrisley came to us and said, hey, let me help make you as whole as possible. Let's do a short sale on this property. Let's do this, that. That's not a conspiracy to defraud anyone at that point.
It was the opposite of what was happening.
Exactly.
Because I'm old enough to have lived through that.
Yes, you are definitely old enough.
Yes, I am. It was brutal.
Exactly.
It was brutal.
So the whole thing is just so messy. But it's opened my eyes to a whole different world that I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Do you feel like you about have a law degree now?
I do.
I mean, I'm not like seriously that you know so much about the law.
So I have said that I would potentially go back to school and get my law degree it would be a pay cut, but
Yes,
it would be like I would want to be one of the good ones. I would want to help people who just don't have the resources to help themselves and to actually stand up for what's right.
Where, if you don't mind me, where are they serving their time?
My dad is in Pensacola, Florida, and mom is in Lexington, Kentucky.
Why Kentucky? How'd that work out?
I would love to know, just as you do.
They didn't give a reason why?
No, she was supposed to be in Florida, and then she was moved to Lexington. And from what I'm being told, there was a lot of sexual abuse allegations against the prison in Florida.
Got it.
And they didn't want the press. They didn't want all of that in the press.
Because y'all do have, your mom, your dad, obviously, and they're strong. If you've ever seen the show, there isn't anybody in the family that isn't kind of like, yo, they stand their ground. They're
Without a doubt. And two, I have made it my mission to fight for not only them, but all the other men and women that are currently sitting in prison. And so at the end of the day, let's rehabilitate these people. Let's not sit and abuse them. And I've been very vocal about it. And the Bureau of Prisons has come out and called me a liar and said...
The Bureau of Prisons has?
Yes. So they've come out, called me a liar, and I've got all the papers and documentation to back it up. So I currently have the Office of Inspector General involved in the whole ordeal to hopefully implement some sort of positive change.
It's actually pretty scary because you don't realize how simple this, how quick this can happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
It is.
And people don't realize that.
What people don't realize is you go and sign up, fill out a loan application for a credit card, and it asks what your income is. If you lie about your income, that's a felony.
Correct.
That's a felony. So when people are I had a girlfriend who, as I'm learning all this stuff, she was going to fill out her thing for a credit card. I was like, you better put down exactly what your tax return says. She's like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, that's a felony offense. If you say you make $1 million and you only make $750, I was like, that's a felony.
Well, the problem is it's selective prosecution.
It is.
Because literally when you look at that or any of these other things that have happened, right, you see so many different people. And it's funny, I was talking to a guy the other day he's famous. And I said, what's your biggest concern? He said, is having to play by a different set of rules. And I said, what do you mean by that? and he's like, things that I do that may not be a problem that other people do, I could be held to a different standard. I have no problem being held to the same standard he said. I just want to be held, and that's kind of what it feels like happened.
Oh,
with your mom
without
and
a
your dad.
doubt. Unfortunately, we live in a world to where the woker you are, the easier your life is.
Correct.
And I wholeheartedly believe that prosecution right now is going against conservatives, going against what all of that. Like, I've seen it firsthand. And I mean, when
So
you
you
look
lived
at,
it.
I lived it. And our case was in Fulton County, Georgia. Like, it's not a jury of your peers when you have an 18-year-old college student. Like, they don't understand bank fraud, tax fraud,
Right.
conspiracy, wire, like, none of that. Like, so, and then also our judge she is a Democrat. She was the youngest black female appointed by Obama. So, like, we had all the cards stacked against us from the very beginning. And they referred to us as, prosecutors referred to us as the Trumps of the South.
The Trumps of the South?
Yes.
Openly?
Yes.
Openly?
Yes.
They talked to other people and said, these are the Trumps of the South?
Yes.
So you get prosecuted based on your beliefs?
Yes.
Based on how you believe? So then you, which, by the way, I'm sorry you went through all that. I mean, you're
Oh,
a
it's fine.
fighter.
I
You're
mean-
listen, I don't even need to say that because you'll get mad if I say that because she'll get up and start throwing things. You were hanging on the beach, living your life. This happens, before you know it, now you're raising 2 children.
Yeah.
How old?
11 and 17.
And now, like, they are your responsibility.
24/7.
You are their guardian.
Yes.
How has that been?
It's been really interesting. It was really difficult at first. I will never forget, like, my parents left and I moved the kids into my house and I just, like, had a full-on breakdown. I was like, I do not know how I'm going to do this. I remember just, like, falling to the floor and was sobbing hysterically. And I do not cry. Like, I don't cry.
I believe it.
And so I was just sobbing hysterically. I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I am not my mother. Like, I cannot do this. And then I just, like, picked myself up and I was like, all right, like, let's do what we need to do. And I've said we, like, learn as we go. We're growing up together. We're a team. Like, I'm not always going to get it right. I'm going to mess up, but I love you. You know, and that's kind of, in our household, I say, like, it's okay to not be okay. Like, let's normalize having feelings and being upset and talking through your emotions. And the kids have been in therapy from they've not missed a therapy session.
Right.
And so I try to normalize, like, it's okay to not be okay. Like, especially around the holidays when something just sucks. And everyone's like, oh, how was your holiday? I finally looked at the kids. I was like, you know, it's okay for you to say, it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to lie and say, oh,
Right.
it was great. You can say it sucked.
Yeah.
But I also, everything that I do now, it's like, all right, I have 2 kids to raise. So I have to, when it comes to my businesses, it comes to all of that, it's like, I'm not doing this just for me. I have 2 kids that I have to look at that I don't want to have to say no to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my focus in everything that I do is like, my life may have to change, but I want to try to make sure theirs doesn't have to.
So for 14 years I worked as a social worker, which I know is hard to believe.
I know
When I
that.
tell people, everyone's
When
like,
you
"No
come
way."
on
I'm
my
like,
podcast,
yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
like
you
I'm
need
asking
to.
you about that.
I will. But it's to go through and watch children have their parents removed in whatever capacity it is,
Yeah.
is something, like when people try to ask me to explain, I'm like, I can't explain it to you unless you've lived it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I can only imagine. And again, one of them's like your sibling.
Yeah.
Like you're growing up and you're my little brother.
And now I have to play parent,
Correct.
which is really difficult. And that's what I say. It's like, you will understand this because of all the social work stuff that you did. But when you look at our criminal justice system as a whole,
Yeah.
and you look like, all right, is incarcerating this person going to cause more damage than good?
Correct.
And you look at removing parents from a child, and now
Correct.
that child is more likely to be involved to teen pregnancy,
Correct.
drug addiction,
Correct.
end up in prison themselves. There's all these things. So it's like, how do we, like, where's the fine line? because now I watch 2 kids, and there's a lot of stuff that we have to work through. You know, like you, especially an 11-year-old that's like, I'm just going to keep my feelings to myself. And you're like, we can't do that.
It doesn't work.
No. And so you want to try to save these kids from ending up angry or ending up doing something that's going to alter the rest of their life. And so it's really difficult, and there's no handbook to do that whatsoever.
Especially when you now, being responsible for yourself is a lot. Being responsible for other human beings that, and again, you didn't give birth to them.
No.
They're like, here you go. What has been the biggest thing you've learned about yourself through the process, about you, about Savannah?
Oof. Biggest thing I've learned about myself is, I guess that I can do it, like, I can do it on my own, you know, and just, it's okay to break down. It's okay. That's what I've tried to, like, give myself a little grace, is like, the setback is a setup for a bigger comeback. So, like, I have to remember that and just realize that, all right, for the past 15 months, I, as a single woman, have gone out here and I'm raising 2 kids. And financially, people don't talk about, like, how much it costs to raise kids. Like, you've got therapy, you've got health insurance, you've got, for me, I've got 2 private schools, you've car insurance, all these things. People do not talk about it. Correct. And I was like, what?
You had no idea.
No, I had no idea.
It was just you hanging out on the beach 2 months out of the year,
literally,
taping your show.
Yeah.
You didn't know all the shit went with it.
Exactly. And then I've got a 17-year-old that, like, eats me out of house and home, you know? So I'm like, all right, well, I spend probably $500 a week at the grocery store. Like, it's the little things that add up that you're like, oh, shoot. Like, it cost a lot.
It's a real deal.
It's a real deal.
How did you got a lot of stuff going on now. Like, you're everywhere. You're on here on Good Morning America. You're doing this. You're working on a new show. You're doing some other stuff. People always ask me, because I think that when you're going through stuff, you know, I remember I had tried to make a donation to the school I went to, which you've never heard of. And the idiot that was getting the donation from me accidentally sent me an email. They rate you as a donor. Now,
I saw a video of you talking about this.
And what's weird is, like, at the end of the day, I was just trying to give back, right? But in his report, what he cited was, I had told him that I had gone through a divorce 7 days before launching my company, which I did. And he said that he's lying because nobody, I guess he decides who everybody is, nobody would be able to, you know, you went through a hell of a lot. How long, because your whole world changes. Yeah. But then again, these kids got to be taken care of. I'm guessing mom and dad didn't leave you a boatload of money because the government was all over. I mean, like, how long did it take you to go, like, dude, like, they're here, I'm here. Like, what was going on at that time financially for you?
I was a normal, like, 20-something-year-old that gets money and is like, oh, this is great. Like, let me go and buy everything I've always wanted.
No responsibilities, like, just buy it.
No responsibilities, just go buy it. And so it wasn't like I was financially prepared to take on 2 kids. And I also got left with 3 different mortgage payments to make. And
they left to you.
Yeah. And so there was all these different things. And then the government fought me for my commission on selling my parents' house.
Fought you on the commission?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're a real estate agent, they fought you on the commission?
Yeah, so I'm a real estate agent.
Why did they fight you on the commission?
Because they said the buyer's agent could get their commission, but I can't get mine.
Why? You had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
But what
so
was
I
their
had
rationale?
to, just that I was their daughter, and I was like, but it
Which is illegal.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, I had to negotiate with them, and I had to hire a lawyer, and I had to give them a %. And so, like, they even started coming after me. So it was one blow after the other.
And you were never in part of this,
No.
never talked about, never. And then you go sell a house legally with your real estate license. They don't want you to give you commission.
Yep. Wow. So I had to hire a lawyer and fight them for it, because I'm like, I have 2 kids to raise. Like, this is my commission. I'm not doing anything different than I would selling the house next door. Like, I've done everything from photos to repairs to whatever, inspections, all of these things. But honestly, from the day I dropped my dad off,
So you dropped him off.
me and my ex-fiance, Nick.
Got it.
Yep.
And that was how many days, weeks, months after the verdict?
So the verdict came down in June, I think.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have to report till January 17th.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I dropped him off, and then I immediately went into, like, I'm the type of person to where I don't deal with my emotions right away. I immediately go into fight mode. So I'm going to take all the shit that I'm struggling with, and I'm going to use it as fuel to just keep moving. And so I immediately jumped in, and at that point, like, I wasn't practicing real estate. I had my real estate license because I wanted to save myself on personal deals.
Right, but that was it.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing anything. And I was like, all right, I've got 2 kids to raise, so, like, I've got my podcast that I've just started, so I had that. I had my real estate company, but I wasn't doing anything. And then in my first 11 months, my partner and I did $17 million. And I wasn't, that's while doing a podcast, while raising 2 kids, while,
Which most people would love to do, the ones that are working full time. That's a big number.
Yeah, that's a big
Real
number.
big number, yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to allow the government to take one more thing. And so I use every bad thing in my life as fuel to just, your success is always going to piss someone off.
100%.
It is always going to piss
Trust
someone
and believe,
off.
100%.
So guess what? If I'm going to piss someone off, I want it to be with the success that I have. And that's just, it didn't take me long. I mean, I just knew, like, I have 2 kids. I'm not afforded the luxury to sit in bed and cry. I'm not afforded the luxury to go and complain about my life. And too, the time you spend complaining, you could be using that time building something better.
Correct. Your parents got to be crazy proud of you.
You know, I think so.
They are.
They tell me. They tell me all the
they
time.
are.
They tell
they
me all
are.
the time. But it's life. Like, life sucks, and you got to figure out how to deal with the suck.
So, you're an unbelievably successful entrepreneur. How's the podcast going? You're killing it, by the way. But
it's good. I mean, for the first time in my life, I have a platform that I can actually speak openly and honestly about things.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting because I've had so many different people on, from comedians to country music artists to the governor of New Jersey. To, like, I have people from all different walks of life on my podcast.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because I just feel like, all right, I can go on there and I can say whatever I want to say.
That's right.
And, like, there is no one stopping me from doing it. Yeah.
And I think it's cool that you have that many people, because the reality is that there's a lot of people, and they're great people, but I do hear from them. And it's cool to see so many people hear from, because they do change people's lives, because they're so relatable.
And
the whole
that's my
thing
thing.
is relatable.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and act like my life is perfect. Guess what? It sucks. There were times to where I had to wonder, like, how the hell am I going to financially raise 2 kids? Like, there were times where I had to look at my bank account and be like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Correct.
But if it wasn't for my hard work ethic and God, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Correct.
Like, I look at it and I'm like, you know what? He showed up just in time.
Right.
Just when I needed it.
And you know, I tell people, I'm not going to preach to anybody because I'm not qualified, but it's odd how the people I talked to that went through what they went through and came out the other side, the ones I talked to were like, my faith.
Oh,
just my faith.
Yeah.
Like anything I've done, like my faith. You're like, you've been sober. Yep, I've been sober 24 years. My faith. It'll be 24 years on the 24th of September, 2024, which is really weird.
That is
24, 24,
weird.
24. So
that's amazing.
Crazy.
Good for you.
Thank you. So all the women, because now, you know, women on the podcast, Andrew, we gotta get more. For you, give. Advice I can't give, because I don't know, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out their journey, whether it's entrepreneurial journey, their job, life, anything. What's Savannah Chrisley's advice for them?
Oh gosh. I will say it's very hard. In 2024, it is hard to be a woman but I like to pride myself because I say, like, I am very much a modern woman, but I also want to be a woman like my mother. Like, you don't have to be a hard ass 24/7. Like, there's nothing attractive about a woman that is like showing up 24/7 like, I am woman, hear me roar. There's just it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, that is not attractive to everyone. But at the same time, one of the best pieces of advice my dad ever gave me was when I was building my cosmetic line. And I remember one day, I was 18. I remember one day I just like started crying. And I was like, I just don't understand. And he goes, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, dry it up. I was like not something you think you would hear from your dad, you know, like dry it up. And I was like, what? He goes, there is no room for tears in a boardroom. Do you think you can sit in a boardroom with a table full of men and your tears are going to move them? Because they're not. And that piece of advice has stuck with me because I've been able to sit at a table with some of the best lawyers in the country, with some of the billion-dollar CEOs. Like, I've been able to sit at a table and carry on a conversation, have really tough conversations, and not let my emotions get the best of me. So it's just a matter of finding that healthy balance of, as a woman, honestly, we carry all the keys. Like, we can control y'all without you even knowing we can control you. But you have to do it the right way.
Correct.
And you have to be able to, you can use your emotions to your benefit in business. Like, you can be soft, but also be hard at the same time. Like, I walk into a room, and I'm going to let you know, you can't run one over on me. Like, I will always stand my ground, but I can also be sympathetic to things. I can also, and I feel like that is such a hard place for a woman to get to in today's day and age, because we feel like we have to prove our worth. And that's where men can also come into play and give more women an opportunity. Give more, but also, as a woman, if you want the opportunity, you have to put in the same amount of work that a man is willing to put in, and you don't get any leeway.
Correct.
And so I think just as a woman, it's important to know those things, but also to give yourself grace. I don't really look at a man and a woman type thing. I look at it as a human thing. Like, we all need to show up exactly the same. If we all want to get paid the same, show up the same. If we all, like, that's where old school me comes in, because I'm not all about this era that we're in. Like, I don't want an easy path just because I'm a female. I want to be able to prove myself like anyone else.
I love it. Dry it up.
Dry it up.
Dry it up. That means your slogan, dry it up. Well, Savannah, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Nobody's going to come in and push you around. You always stand your ground. I appreciate you sharing. I mean it, and I love listening to you.
Thank you.
And it meant a lot to us and the viewers. And guys, I appreciate you jumping on. If you like this video, you'll love the one we'll send you to. But this was an amazing podcast. Appreciate your support always at Close and Conquer. And Savannah, thank you.
Thank you.